We're back in Indy. Matt Rhule, the head Husker, entering his second year in Lincoln. 5 wins in year one. Known for quick turnarounds. Took Baylor from 11 losses to 11 wins in 2 seasons. Great success at Temple as well. 2 10-win seasons there. Now looking to replicate that at Nebraska. We're back inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Dave Revsine, Yogi Roth, Jake Butt, now joined by Matt Rhule. And Coach, I know every job is different, and so I was talking about the success you had at Baylor and the success you had at Temple. That being said, Nebraska's different than those places. So what did you learn, not about yourself as a coach, but about Nebraska in particular, that you think can help you achieve another one of those improvements in year 2?
Well, I think the thing that I learned was the roster was already full of a lot of really great guys and a lot of talent. And I mean, we had a tough year, but if you lose 5 games by a field goal or overtime, some teams would quit. Our guys came back week after week after week. So the good thing about year 1 was we all got to see each other in tough times, and we found out we're all pretty resilient. We're all pretty tough. So make a couple steps this year. I already know that we have the right stuff inside of us, which I think can help us flip it.
You talk about making steps this year, and offense was really the area where you needed to get better. Where have you seen the biggest strides? Obviously cognizant of the fact you haven't had preseason camp yet, but just in terms of the spring and the offseason. I
thought the biggest jump we made this spring was in the passing game and was really at the receiver positions. You know, last year was unfortunate. We had some injuries. Some of the guys we were counting on at receiver to play were hurt. We had to put some freshmen in there. And those guys they grew up. They're sophomores now. They know what it's like to be in the 2-minute drill against Michigan State to win the game. And while we didn't get it done, they had to make those plays. So those guys grew up, brought in a couple players to help them, and I think we have a dynamic group.
Coach, you recently said on Joel Klatt's podcast that when you're rebuilding, you got to dig down, and you learn a lot when you dig deeper and deeper and deeper under the surface. But it's also a different generation than when you were at Temple, when you were at Baylor. What have you learned that might be unique about this generation of players when you challenge them to dig down to find success?
I think a lot of it's talking to their parents, too. Talking to the people around them. You know, parents are more involved now than ever, and that's probably a good thing. You know, it's a great thing. So talking to the people that matter, and I just think being transparent. You know, like I'm happy to share with our guys, like, hey, you know, you guys put up there I was Coach of the Year. I was also a meme for a year on ESPN after getting fired, you know, on Twitter. So, you know, like there's highs, there's lows. Like just keep showing up and being consistent. And I think when you're honest enough with the guys to share your own highs and lows, they'll maybe listen to you a little bit more.
I was also listening to Joel Klatt's podcast.
There we go. Look at us. Look at us. Just fanning out
listenership on this.
Shout out to Joel Klatt. Yeah. He asked some great questions, and I wanted to ask him, ask a question that he asked you. We talked about the success of your turnarounds at Baylor and Temple, but I thought you gave a great answer to what you learned from the challenges from your time in the NFL, specifically with the Panthers. And I just wanted to ask you that same question. What did you learn from your time with the Panthers?
Yeah, I learned that, like, leadership, it's easy to lead when things are going well. I mean, you have to lead. Like I felt like I did probably a lot of things right, a lot of things wrong, but I felt like those last weeks, up until the time I got fired, man, I still was a great dad, and I tried to be a great husband, and I tried to be a great leader to the guys. I tried to, if bullets were going to get fired, they're going to get fired at me. They didn't go at anybody else, and that's why some of those guys, they stay in touch with me to this day. And so, coming into Nebraska, wanting to be that same type of leader from the very beginning, wanting to build those relationships and connections. You know, you go to the NFL, you think it's one thing, but it's people. And so, man, I'm at Nebraska. I want to enjoy this year, and I want to watch these guys grow in their lives on and off the field. And so I think that personal connection, probably didn't do it well enough early enough in the NFL, but I did do it at the end, and I've tried to just triple it at Nebraska.
When it comes to quarterback play, so often now in the recruiting game, it's this label is on you, this expectation is on you. Clearly that's happened with Dylan Raiola, one of the best recruits in the history of Nebraska football. How are you front-loading like the mental skills necessary to be able to operate in a world where so many people are telling you how good you are, how bad you are, where you need to improve?
Yeah, I think expectation is the thing that holds people back. You know, like you're drafted in the first round, you better play this way. You're drafted in the 4th round, you're a top recruit, oh, you're a walk-on. Like so often we play to our expectations. I want our guys to play the game because they love playing the game. I want them to find joy in going out there and competing and practicing. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, but you know what? You can't have highs if you don't have lows, and you have to embrace the lows. You have to learn from them. And so whether it's Dylan, whether it's Carter Nelson, whether it's Danny Kalen, any of these guys we signed that are big-time recruits, when they get started, that's over. Now the journey begins, and I want them to embrace the adversity every bit as much as they embrace the good times.
Just to continue with Dylan Raiola, just how young he is, and watching the spring game, just how poised he looked. He didn't look as young as he really was. And I'm just curious, now that you've had a few months to get to know him, watch how he operates within the program, what has impressed you the most about his character?
Yeah, he was born to play quarterback. I mean, he has the arm talent, but the game makes sense to him. It's a lot of players, they can operate systems. Dylan's playing football. He understands the game. His dad, obviously 14 years in the NFL, he understands the O-line side. I love the fact that he's this big recruit. He came in and, man, he just worked. He just did the mat drills. He didn't think he wasn't supposed to do. He didn't have a lot of opinions. He just worked and earned the players' respect. He's got a lot of work to do. College football's hard, but I know this. He's going to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's going to be there at 5 o'clock at night, and I think players respect that.
What's your process in terms of deciding when a starter has earned the right to be named the starter by you?
I think it's always when we know we know. For me right now, I've got Heinrich Haarberg, who won 5 games as a starting quarterback at Nebraska last year. Like that, not many guys have done that recently. And I've got Danny Kalen, who's one of the top recruits in the country, Elite 11. And I've got Dylan, who's one of the top recruits in the country. And they've all had these great moments. I feel like after this summer, they've earned the right to come in and show us this camp what they've done and what they can do. And we dream about the day that we play January 20th, and it's going to take a lot of players to get through a 16-game season. So we'll compete it out. It'll be fun. They'll have high moments and low moments, but when we know, we know.
This may not be the sexiest question, but I want to talk to you about special teams.
Thank you. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Because, I mean, that was an issue going back even before you got here. And then when you talk about, all the close games, like the margin for error is razor thin. So special teams always plays a factor. Certainly is a big factor for your team. What strides has your special team unit taken this offseason?
Well, I thought we did some really great things on special teams last year at times. Mm-hmm. So we beat Northwestern, and how do we beat them? We block a field goal, run it back for a touchdown. Even in the Iowa game, we stay in the game by we block 2 field goals. So there's a lot of things to build off of. And we had a rookie kicker. He had some big moments. He had some times to work. So I just feel like now we have a kicker coming into his second year. We have a senior punter. We have a senior snapper. The guys all understand the emphasis we put on special teams, and that is our advantage in these games.
I hope this is a sexy question, Coach. I want to talk about the defense. Okay, you came from the NFL. You spent a lot of time there. Teams, when they see an opponent have success doing something like you did in the 3-3-5 defense a year ago, they spend an entire offseason finding out how to beat this defense. What are you anticipating from offenses that you'll see the second time or the first time in this revamped league?
I think the key is to go back and watch the teams who had success against you. Take Michigan out of it because they're just so elitely talented, right? But, go back and watch the Wisconsin game and how, Coach Longo put speed at number 3 and tried to take advantage of that. Find the people that found a wrinkle, and as a defense, prepare for it. I can't say enough how brilliant Tony White is. It's not just some scheme that I only do this. He will change what he's doing, even in games sometimes, based upon his player. Sometimes I'm on the headset saying, "Oh, Tony, what are we doing?" But he's just a savant, and so he'll continue to evolve. We'll be good on defense, I believe.
I feel like, all the close games, once again, there's like a fork in the road. I remember my freshman year at Michigan, we were 7-6 and lost 5 of those games by a total of 11 points. So it's like you're close. It didn't actually benefit us the next year. For your team, you'd like for those close games to benefit you, and I'm just curious what you can share with us about the messaging to your roster and how you can learn from those adverse times to, hopefully get to that 8, 9, 10 win mark this year.
Yeah, if there's one thing I can teach our guys for life, it's that everything that happens to you happens for a reason, as long as you choose to learn from it. So going back and dissecting all those moments and saying, why did we lose? Well, we lost by 3, but we also had 5 turnovers. We were the worst team in turnover margin in the Big Ten last year. So if we don't turn the ball over 31 times, if we take the ball away more than 14 times, it's not a curse. Close losses aren't a curse. It's that we turned the ball over. We didn't make these plays. And so to me, it's learning from those. It's fixing those problems, and it's getting our guys confident. Man, I hope you can feel for me. I have a sense of confidence about this team, and I want want our players to have a confidence about this team.
You referenced being a GA when Deshaun Foster was playing. What do you remember about Coach Foster?
Oh man, he was the man. First of all, he was a great guy, and he was a great person. You know, I'm a defensive GA. I'm over there with the D line, but he was cool to everybody. But I remember being up in the box. I think he ran for, I don't know the number. I think he ran for like 300 yards. It was either against Washington or Ohio State. I think it was Ohio State. Like, he was just a great, great player. And someone I've always followed and respected. When he got that job, I was really, really, really happy for him.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you just a little bit about big picture. And I know as a coach, you don't sit up here and say we want X number of wins or this, that, or the other thing, because you just set yourself up to be in an uncomfortable situation. That being said, it is amazing, I think, to those of us who grew up following the program, that Nebraska has the longest drought of being in a bowl game of any power conference school. So is it fair to say, like, that anything short of making a bowl this year would be...
It'd be a failure.
Yeah.
There are so many people that I've met cheerleaders who come back for another year, students who stick around for another year, all because they want to experience going to a bowl game. And we got so close last year, and we kind of fumbled it away. And so, to me, that's the minimum. Like, we're going to go to a bowl game. We have to go to a bowl game. At the University of Nebraska, every single season, we should expect to go to a bowl game, win a bowl game, and be in the hunt for the conference title, be relevant. We're not going to win it every year, maybe, but we want to be relevant. And we want to come down the stretch and have people talking about us. Not as the game who they're playing, but they want to talk about us. And so that's why we came here. That's what we're building to. But a bowl game's non-negotiable in my mind.
Matt Rhule, head coach of the Huskers. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.